Hi, I'm Michael Douglas, and welcome to another Dr. Pundit Quick Take. If you're as much of a Kool and the Gang fan as I am, and they've been making music for 58 years this year, that's right, in 2024, it'll be 60 years of making music by this venerable band that started out as a jazz fusion type band and ended up largely on top of the world as a pop R&B crossover. You'll be happy to know that their album's Volume 2 box will be out later this year. It follows the album's Volume 1, 1970 to 1978, which collected their first dozen albums plus a disc of bonus material. Now the Edsel label has followed that up with a 13 CD package that calls music from 1979 to 1989. Perhaps more passive fans will be familiar with this era as it represents their ultimate crossover into R&B and pop. The albums represented were released, as the name suggests, between 1979 and 1989, starting off with Ladies' Night from 1979, Celebrate from 80, Something Special from 81, As One from 82, In the Heart from 1983, Emergency from 1985, Forever from 1986, and Sweat from 1989. Now, two of my favorite albums are in this collection. This includes Emergency and Forever. Emergency was probably their biggest seller and earned them a double platinum set. This album also saw a lot of drum machines being introduced into the musical mix, and the opening salvo title cut, Emergency, is probably the band's most driving track ever. Of course, a lot of people remember Fresh, the fresh-sounding R&B single that came with a slew of remixes and was fully embraced at R&B radio, and Misled, also a big R&B and pop hit. Cherish was another smooth respite from those upbeat rhythms. It was a classic, and it took radio by storm, peaking at number 2 on the Hot 100, and topping the R&B and adult contemporary charts, and is still played today. And while the 12-inch version of Cherish is among this set's bonus materials, the single version is omitted from this, and I'm not sure why that is. Now, 1986's Forever, my other favorite Kool and the Gang album from this era, was their first album for Mercury, and it's their final U.S. Top 10 R&B entry, and their last album overall to enter the Billboard Top 200 album charts. And for many people, it was probably the start of their decline. Many people would say it would be their swan song. The lead singer that typified much of this era, J.T. Taylor, left the group after this album to pursue a solo career. This was around the time in the mid-1980s to late 1980s that a lot of singles were driven by synthesizers, and although the bass lines were really nice, they were just really not as creative as critics thought they would be. But I think it's a nice album nonetheless, and just two of the albums that are represented on this set that comes out later this year. This is Kool and the Gang's The Albums Volume 2, 1979 to 1989 on the Edsel imprint. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you do too. This has been another Dr. Pundit Quick Take.